You know what? I also have to give big thanks and respect to those who clip and screen record my lives, because if you guys didn't put it on YouTube, this kid never would have found it, and all those other kids never would have found it, you know. And this kid that found it, he thought to himself, you know what? I've called all my friends, no one's answered. I've called people that I know who I consider family, no one's answered. And then what did he do? He sent Triggz a message, all right? This message pretty much highlighted the fact that he was down and out, and he just didn't want a bar of anything anymore. Didn't care what happened to himself, yeah? And guess what happened? For some reason, I got up that morning and grabbed my phone. And usually I scroll straight to the bottom, because when I answer messages, I start from the bottom so I can make it fair. So I'm replying to everyone. You know, it's very hard for me to reply because I get too many messages. But as I clicked into the messages, he sent his message and I accidentally pressed on it. So when I pressed on it, his one opened up. And then I seen what he said. And when I asked him, hey buddy, are you all right? Straight away, this kid was shocked that I actually replied to him. But he didn't realize I accidentally pressed on his thing. But when I read it, it was so, heartfelt. But also at the same time, from what he wrote, I could feel the pain, you know. And I thought, you know what? Stuff what I'm doing. Let me just focus on this kid for a second. Straight away, I messaged him. I go, hey buddy, you all right? And he goes, Triggz. He goes, wow, you replied, you know. And he messaged, he goes, man, I'm not good. You know, I'm in a predicament at the moment. Sent me a photo with police surrounding the vicinity of where he was. And then I asked him what was going on. He explained his situation. And then obviously, like, I gave him the big brother talk, like, don't give up. I can't do much, but I can try. You know, this kid was all the way in Western Australia. Luckily for this kid, I had one of my good brothers, Mick, who was based over there. I reached out to him. He took care of this kid, gave him a place to stay. So he had no place. He was on the street. He had no money, no food, no nothing. Yeah. Mick fed him. Mick friggin' gave him a place to stay. And then Mick got him a job. And then this is what people out in the world don't understand is sometimes all these kids need is a second chance. Sometimes all these kid needs is a leg up. You know, for those of you around the world who don't understand Australian slang, a leg up means a little help, you know. So God bless this kid. He messaged me this morning showing appreciation, and I was actually shocked, you know, at the progress he's made in the last 2 weeks. Also, another young kid as well who messaged through. He was the one that was running amok on one of my videos. I'm not going to explain thoroughly who he is because I want him to live his private life. But this kid, mate, he's made a dramatic change, and he explained to me that after I had spoken to him, he watched a few of my videos on YouTube, and then that's what made him want to give up gangstering on. He realized that he was doing all this rubbish because for notoriety, you know, like he didn't really care about money. He didn't really care about life. All he wanted was to was to have fun, and he didn't care if he got locked up because all his family members had been locked up, you know, and he's got uncles and everything. He knew he'd be protected as soon as he goes to prison, but that wasn't the point. The point was, my point to the kid when I first met him was, bro, you're young, like your whole life ahead of you, you know, you don't need to be like your uncles. And for all of you who are watching my live right now, I'm going to say it the way I say it to each and every person that crosses my path. Don't try to be like me. Be better than me, you know, because if you're better than me, mate, your life is going to elevate quick smart, all right? It's the same thing that I say to my own brothers as we were growing up, because obviously all of you guys know that the younger brothers and sisters are always trying to be like their older sibling, you know. I was the oldest, and yes, I was the one who dirtied my family's name, you know, and for that I will be forever regretful. But I chose that path, and then my brothers, you know, took that path, and there's nothing. Sorry guys, if you're calling through, please I don't collaborate. I don't do any interviews. So please don't call through. I don't want to talk to no one. I'm just talking directly to the younger generation and to the young adults. But yeah, so that's where we're at. I just wanted to acknowledge all these youngsters, even the young women that have been messaging me. Nothing but love and respect from me for all the changes that you've made in your lives. But like I said to you, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. You have to change for yourself. Don't change for your parents. Don't change for your missus. Don't change for your kids. Change for yourself. Because I'm telling you, if you do it for yourself, you're going to feel the whole impact of that change. You know, if you're trying to change for your missus, you're always going to be like, oh man, but if I wanted to, do that, like, man, you know what, stuff it, I'm going to go do it anyway. That's how you're going to feel, you know. But if you want to change for yourself, like really change for yourself, then that's when you're going to always have that little thing in the back of your head where you're going to be like, you know what, F all these freaking people, I'm going to do this for myself. I don't care. I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet. So that's what I said. That's how I was when I got out of prison this time after my 7 years. Obviously, all of you guys know I served a lot of time in prison. Going in and out is something that I'm not proud of, but it is something that I have to live with, all right? Now, before I move on, I just want to touch on all the youngsters that got arrested at Revesby. Everybody remember the arrest that happened the other day at Revesby? The young kids, they were parking up cars that were going to be used in ooting shays, yeah? Obviously, these young kids got caught with stuff in the car that showed they were going to be doing something. And also, these kids, one of them was being surveillanced from something that happened way before. So I'm not going to get into that right now. Like I always tell you, things is going through social media. There are things that are going up on the news, and don't believe everything that you see and hear. You know what I mean? I don't care if it's their lawyer saying it. Do not believe anything unless you read it for yourself. There's a thing called freedom of information. If you really are that interested in that, then yeah, find freedom of information and read it yourself. But don't really listen to all these rubbish. And now, back to the arrest that happened. I was there the day that these kids were getting arrested. I had nothing to do with it. I was driving past because I was going to pick up my wife from her auntie's house, yeah? Long story short, they cut us off, like all the police, and told everyone they had to go around. So we ended up going around. I dropped by Cavs Kebabs. Everybody knows Cavs Kebabs because Cavs Kebabs is what I was repping when I did my first food review, yeah? And so I was eating at Cavs Kebabs, waiting for my wife to finish up with her auntie. And there was helicopters everywhere, and obviously the footage of the kids getting arrested came up, yeah? And I've got a lot of people in my team that have a lot of skills, especially computer skills, yeah? So one of my team members, this lady, she enhanced everything that was being said, not only by the police, but also by these kids, Don't ask me how she did it. This lady is like very skilled at what she does. But long story short, you could clearly hear a lot of muttering, yeah? But she opened it up and pretty much highlighted a lot of things that was happening at the time, which I'm not going to get into. But one of the main things that I do want to talk about is the way these kids were when they were getting arrested. Obviously all of you guys saw it yourself, how the cops were kneeing him in the back, elbows in the back of the neck. What did I tell you? I actually just said this like a million times in the last 3 weeks of what cops will do to you, Like, this is what I said to all the youngsters. They do not care how young you are. You got cops who will do their job the right way, and then you got cops who abuse their power. You remember, if they deem the community safety is at jeopardy, they're going to use that power that they have to take you down, and they're going to go overboard, as they always do. But like I said, 99% of police officers do their job well. But the other 1%, they're always trying to play gangster, you know, because they know they're untouchable. Now, you saw it for yourself, that cop. He's freaking small, skinny little kid. He's already handcuffed. This cop is still putting knees in the back of his head. This cop is still putting elbows in the back of his head, you know? Like, there's no need for it. But in saying that, if these kids, had gone and did this shooting shay, or if these kids had gone through whatever they were planning to do, and it ended up being like a big criminal charge, then imagine, family members would have been devastated, family members would have been mourning, the community would have been scared off their nut, because it's now happening in an area that shootings never happen, you know. So the police, they did what they have to do, whether, you know, you can call it what it is. But when I heard these kids screaming, you know, please, 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 this is what broke me, yeah, because I was like, fuck, man, I'm on freaking live twice a week, every week, you know, like, is that enough? Like, do I have to go live more? You know, like, my thing is, I'm not trying to tell any of you younger generation what to do, yeah? I just tell my story with the hope that you learn from it. And when I saw these kids screaming, please, 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 you know, like, let me tell you something. Remember I said to you about street soldiers, gangsters, and gang? You know my brother 212 Heat? All of you have seen the video, yeah, of 212 Heat when me and him got arrested. So the same thing that happened to those young kids, where their windows got shot out, all right? That's what happened to my brother 212 Heat when we both got arrested back in 2018. The back of his thing shot out, and like gas came out, yeah. So from what I hear, it was beanbags that they shot through the window to the kids before they grabbed them. On my brother's one, it was gas that come out. So pretty much they were trying to smoke my brother out of his car, yeah. Now let me show you the difference, all right? When my brother opened the door and they come running towards him, straight away he reacted violently, all right? Now, my brother could have been Oche that day because obviously he reacted in a violent way, and the cops are allowed to do what they want to take him down. But when the police got close, they were jumping on not only him but also the other guys, and they got him on the ground and they handcuffed him, yeah? They handcuffed 212 Heat, my brother, the same way they handcuffed these young guys up at Reevesby, yeah? And when the young kid was screaming, please, 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 remember, these kids are on the street playing gangster. And as soon as they got arrested and they got kneed in the back of the neck, they were pleading with the police officers like enough, like stop freaking kneeing me in the back of the head, stop freaking punching me, giving me cheap shots, all right? And this is what I said to all you younger generation in the last couple of weeks. You know, I don't want you guys to go through what those young kids just went through at Reevesby, you know? And screen recorders have been putting up. So, but you all wanted a story about the faults of my guys, so I'm going to give you a story, all right? Remember those two guys that I told you that took out those two lawyer girls? So those two guys apparently were a part of Bloodline. I've never met them, obviously, because they're younger, yeah? The reason why I'm highlighting these two guys is to show all you younger generation out there how two-faced this life is, yeah? This kid, he came from juvie, and the other kid was his best mate, pretty much, yeah? When it came to Goulburn, the situation with S2F and Bloodline had broken out, and he saw how Bloodline didn't have the numbers, but they did what needed to be done that day, and all of S2F buckled, all right? Not one person went and stuck up for Sunia when he was getting attacked by two Bloodline boys, and pretty much half the yard was S2F at the time, and no one helped him. So to you younger generation, understand that, like, when they had the numbers, they could have backed up their boy, and there was only two Bloodline boys in there, but they didn't back him up. This is what this life is all about, you know? You know, there was guys who will go on with it when they got numbers, and there's guys who just don't have it in them. You know, once they see someone that's about it. Remember how I told you about my brother 212 Heat and that kid? All right, my brother's about it. All right, that kid wasn't. Obviously, he's about it when it comes to doing all that rubbish on the streets. But when it came to the consequences, he wasn't ready for it. He didn't realize that police will do this type of stuff here. Yeah, but this is what I'm saying about those S2F boys who were there that day. They all buckled, and none of them backed up their one guy. And guess what? That one guy who was getting opchayed by two of my guys, he was the brother of the leader of S2F. So the leader of S2F is Esa Kafavalu, and his brother was the one that got chopped. Yeah. Now that's just something that I wanted to highlight with this story. This Italian kid's name is Tyrone Tallarico. His best mate's name is Demo. Okay. Tyrone had gotten there when the situation had occurred. He realized, wow, like Bloodline are actually who they, they say they are. You know, they're ruthless. They don't need numbers, and everywhere they go on their own. They don't need to be in a group. You know, and he ended up joining Bloodline under one of the other boys. Yeah, I didn't meet him at the time when he joined, but when I finally met him, I nicknamed him Ty Riot, and the reason why I nicknamed him Ty Riot was because he came from juvie for a riot, and then when a riot kicked off in prison, remember prison is 10 times worse than juvie. He was heavily involved in the riot in prison with a lot of the Bloodline boys, and obviously with a lot of the Tongan boys that were also there. There was a lot of good Tongan boys that were there at the time as well. And so I nicknamed him Ty Riot because this guy was always running amok. He didn't realize, Tyrone, the depths that Bloodline go to when it comes to war. So, you know that how I told you guys that the initiation for Bloodline boys is to walk into opposition territory and then do what you got to do to survive. Tyrone took that as like a joke. He thought like, oh, it's probably just something the boys are saying to scare me. He didn't realize it's actually a real thing. Yeah. So when he got classoed to go to a OC and S2F prison, which was Clarence at the time, pretty much the boys that were there told him, as soon as you get there, remember, this is your initiation. You walk straight in there and you do what needs to be done. All right, to all you younger generation, remember, my guys have been in the game for a long time. And these are the types of guys, and myself, these are the types of people that I'm trying to tell you to stay away from. Stay away from people like myself and my guys who grab younger generation guys like Tyrone and make them their frontline soldiers. Now, my guys never asked Tyrone to be a part of Bloodline. He asked to be Bloodline. He's the one that wanted to be a gangster. And then when he got put in front of in front of the line, this is when he realized, like, oh, far out, I didn't realize this is what gangstering on was all about. Yeah, he gets to Clarence prison, and I'll give it to him. He did it. He walked straight into the pod. All right. When he walked into the pod, he saw his mate Demo. All right. Now, Tyrone told our boys a story after the incident happened. The story was, he walked in and he stood there and he yelled FOC and S2F. Then they all ran down and he tried to go hard, but he got abstayed a couple of times, and then the screws came in and stopped it. Pretty much that's what an initiation is. You walk in and you survive. Yeah. Tyrone told us he walked in and he survived. Fast forward 3 years later, I find out that he actually walked in there, and then he went with his mate and they went and started doing laps until one of the S2F guys grabbed him, took him into the room, and then they brevelled him. So you all see that music clip, Who's Real, with that Mushy Flop and that hooligan. You see that Mushy when he's walking into a room with a breville? This is what these guys did to Tyrone, or Ty Riot. You know, He never went in and went on with it. He never went in and tried to like stand up for himself. He went in and he like tried to blend in with his mate Demo. Like Demo was already there, so Demo wasn't trying to blend in. He was already there, but that's his mate. Demo stood staunch with his mate. But as soon as he got dragged to the room, bah, Breville shot over the head, and then they abstained him, and then he got taken out. So that's what really happened. All right, I found that out later. And then also Demo got jumped as well. They came to Junee and there was a situation where all the screws inside prison were like just talking about Bloodline, how ruthless they are, how they do what they got to do on their own. You know, Bloodline's known for boys who are able to walk into an opposition's prison and just take on everyone that's there, whether they lose or not. And yes, many times, how are they gonna win? There's just one person, you know. Like there's been a few boys who walked in and come out good, but majority of them walked in and got abstained, got. But that's how they ended up with the Ainga. All right, Ainga means family, and when I say that, it means they ended up joining Bloodline after they got. So Tyrone and Demo end up at Junee prison, and while they were there, they were now considered Bloodline members. All right. Now remember, the only reason why I'm telling you guys this story is because these people who were complaining about me telling other people's stories and not explaining the faults of my own. Here, you wanted it, you've got it. This is my way of showing you, younger generation guys, I'm not discriminating. Like I'm not just talking a lot of rubbish about these gangs because I don't like them. I'm actually talking rubbish about everything that I've been in and amongst, you know. And the reason why I'm saying that is so all of you guys know that everything I talk about is rubbish. Not rubbish as in bullshit, rubbish as in it's like a rubbish life, yeah? So now that Demo and Tyrone are considered Bloodline members, remember, none of the Bloodline boys knew that story Tyrone told wasn't true. Everyone thought it was true, all right? So now that they're over there, Tyrone and Demo have got the numbers because all the Bloodline boys are at Junee, all right? And they wanted to prove themselves because they knew there's going to be a time later on in the future when this is going to come out where that they didn't go on with it, or Tyrone didn't go on with it, and he got, yeah? So CIG is a correctional intelligence group. These guys are like the prison police. They called me for a meeting at Silverwater Prison, and when they called me for a meeting, they said to me, you need to start talking to your guys and calming them down. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, in the last week, Pete, there's been 7 abbing stays from your guys in different prisons. And I was like, what? I'll go, who? I've never heard about anything. And I was like, you never heard about it because they just walked into the prisons one out and did what they needed to do. He goes, it wasn't a gang brawl or anything like that. It's just guys walking into the prison doing what they needed to do and then leaving to go to Segro. And they go, and the worst of it is, in the last week, from all the statements we just told you, 2 guys had gone in and abstained someone who was a member or an alliance of OC, and this guy was in the middle of having a visit with his mum. So you guys are all watching me while I'm going live, yeah? This kid was talking to his mum on video link, right? Tyrone and Demo came from behind and just started freaking going at this, going to town on this guy. This is what built their status, all right? Now remember, the Bloodline boys all respected them because of what they went through at Clarence when they were with the ops. But when they did that, now everyone had respect for them. Everyone was like, oh, wow, you hear about those 2 younger boys, Tyrone and Demo? They freaking op-chade a guy in front of his mum during visit, yeah? And the CIG, Correctional Intelligence Group, who came and saw me, they're like, you know what they did? He goes, I'm telling you now, it's never going to happen again. We don't care if we have to lock down all of Bloodline. They will never get visits again. And the only time they will get visits is when we give it to them because of that situation that occurred. They were supposed to be going to visits, but instead of going to visits, they went and attacked that guy. Yeah. And this is what I'm telling you guys. This is the life that I don't want you younger generations to end up in, you know, being puppets for the older boys. They told us was a load of lies. So now that they got their big name, not only with Bloodline, but also with other prison inmates as being dangerous, those guys who do that, they went to Silverwater, again, another S2F member. They went to town on him, and then he got taken as well, all right? These two went from there, ended up at Goulburn with all the other Bloodline boys because they were getting tipped around everywhere, yeah? And then when they were there, they eventually ended up at Nowra. Well, Tyrone did. Now, this is where I'm going to explain it thoroughly to all you younger generation out there. See how that Tyrone was going hard for all the Bloodline boys? When he ended up at Nowra prison, the Hells Angels is a bikie gang. The Hells Angels told Tyrone, come and join us, and if you join us, we're going to give you full colors, and we're going to look after you with money. Now, if you guys don't know, all over the news back a couple of years ago, the Hells Angels were known to be big money makers here in Sydney. You know, a lot of money was being laundered, and they were getting arrested left, right, and center, but the cops couldn't stop their money flow. And this was offered to Tyrone. And guess what happened? Instead of being loyal to the Bloodline boys, he told the Hells Angel boys, yeah, sweet. This is where I'm shocked, because I was getting messages from everyone saying that Tyrone had said this, yeah? But remember, I don't really know him. I had met him twice, all right? And when I heard this, I said to the boys, look, leave him alone. Maybe the rumor is a load of rubbish, just boys trying to get us to turn on Tyrone. Like, don't listen to anyone. Just leave it and let things be, and we'll find out later on. Came out that it was the truth. Tyrone did say to them, yeah, like, I wanna be money maker. I wanna be able to do 1, 2, 3. And what nobody knew is, when I first met Tyrone, it was through the boys, through the yards. I wasn't even with him. We were in different yards at Goulburn. I was in the remand, he was in the Islander yard. Yeah. I said to him when he was about to go on his mission to Clarence to take on all his enemies, our enemies, I said to him, give me your phone number and your details so I can, you know, send money to your mum and whatnot. For someone I didn't know, like, I actually went out of my way. My wife went out of her way. Not only did we put money in this account, money was given to his mum for Mother's Day, flowers, chocolates, money, like taken out to dinner. This is what I'm saying. Like, not only the boys, but my family went above and beyond for Tyrone's mum and his grandmother, yeah? Obviously, because Tyrone had just come into Bloodline, and he had gone and done his initiation, all right? But then when he went and said yes to the Hells Angels, the rumor went around, and when he got out, he actually went and he tried to join the Hells Angels behind the Bloodline boys' back, yeah? And the Hells Angels, they turned around. Oh, give me 2 seconds. Let me just do this puzzle. Yo, got it. So the Hells Angels, they turned around and they said, mate, Bloodline's a ruthless crew. If you're willing to be a two-face to Bloodline, God only knows what you would do to us. So nah, man, you're not in the Hells Angels. They knocked him back after telling him that he could join. Like, what Tyrone didn't realize is we got history with the Hells Angels. So when he went and sucked up their ass and said to them, yeah, I want to be a money maker, I want to freaking be with you when I get out, they turned around and said that to him, and he was shattered, all right? And then I found out afterwards that he was now trying to join the Almadines. All right. All I said to the boys was, leave him be, because the boys were like dirty at the fact that they all took care of him, and then as soon as he got out, he went two-faced and he tried to join a different gang. Yeah, right. This is what I'm saying to all you youngsters out there. You know, look how solid my team is, but then younger boys come in, and then this is what they do. All right, the same thing as that demo. He's got bloodline tatted right across his face. And you know, Tyrone, he's got bloodline tatted all over his body. But as soon as he got out and he got knocked back by the Hells Angels, he was trying to join the Almadines. And then he went and started trying to get the bloodline tattoos tatted off him, because he knew that now the bloodline boys, weren't happy with him and what he did. He went and tried to start a lie and say the reason why he left bloodline was because my brother had an argument with him and started threatening him. But what nobody realized outside of the gang is that this happened when my brother found out about what he had done, being a two-face. But before this even happened, he had already said yes to joining the Hells Angels while he was at Nara with the boys. And then when he got out, there was no argument or nothing. He went and tried to join them, and the Hells Angels told him to get effed, you know? Now, while he's trying to join the Almadines, he's now, with Demo on the outside, and they're doing their thing, yeah? Out of the blues, out of the blues, Demo contacts my brother. And my brother's like, who's this? And he goes, oh, my name's Demo. He goes, I was bloodline. He goes, but then I ended up joining the Hells Angels when I got out. And my brother's like, I've never heard of you. What do you want anyway? And he goes, brother, I just thought like, because I went hard for bloodline, that you would help me. My brother said, help you with what? Because, bro, I just got jumped. He goes, bro, they jumped all over my head. And my brother's like, what? What do you mean? And he explained that Tongan boys on the outside had jumped on his head, but his Hells Angels mates didn't help him, or they refused to help him. Right? And this is where I'm at. A lot of Tongan boys are connected to the Hells Angels, yeah? And if these two boys, Tyrone and Demo, had done something wrong while they were doing prison time, who's the best people to set them up? The people that he went to suck ass to. They went to suck ass to the Hells Angels, and then all of a sudden, Demo got jumped. So who else could have set you up? You know? Oh, look, I'm not saying the HAs set you up, but all I'm saying is there's a reason why the HA boys didn't back you up. You know, there's a reason why you went and called my brother and asked for help. Is because you realized that you made a mistake when you went and joined the bikie gang. You know. And my brother simply said to him, wait, are you really calling me and asking me for help after you joined the HAs and you left the Bloodline boys? And he goes, yeah, also because like I done a lot for the Oibays, which Demo and Tyrone, they did work. They put in work for the boys, you know. But in saying that, the first opportunity that they got given to make big money, boom, two-face. They turn straight away. And this is what I keep telling to all you younger boys out there, the two-face friggin' life that this brings, yeah? Like, these guys were solid with Bloodline. But as soon as they got offered money, they turned. Just like that crap that happened when the father and son got Oche. Guess what? You know the son that got shot, the Hemsey son? It was his best mate from a kid growing up that set him up, all right? And I keep telling you guys, I'm not telling you these stories to try to scare you. I'm not trying to tell you this story so I can try to intimidate you. I'm just telling you these stories so you can learn from it, all right? You want to come, for all of you idiots, I know it's not younger generation that's been messaging me hating on the fact that I haven't told a story like this about my own guys. So I know it's not the younger generation. It's people that's either my age or just a little bit younger than me that can't hack the fact that I've exposed all the rubbish that they've been saying for the last fucking 9 years, yeah? With Bloodline members, all right? They went and did that two-face move, and then Demo got jumped, you know? When he got jumped, he reached back out to the boys for help, and my brother told him, go for a walk, son. He goes, you're a little kid, and he goes, and you have the nerve to come and ask us for help after you walked away from us? Get out of here. Now Tyrone, he, apparently bad words said between the Bloodline boys and Tyrone. Pretty much, the Bloodline boys just washed their hands with Tyrone, you know, like, they don't want nothing to do with him, or they don't want to hear anything about him ever again, because this is the type of person he is, you know. And obviously, if the Elmadine boys had known about this situation, they never would have helped him. But yeah, this is exactly what he did, and the Hells Angel boys kicked him to the curb because of it. All right. Now, the story that you guys all waiting for was about the two lawyers. Now, the two guys who are so-called two gangsters who run amok and go on with it, they are the two guys that I just finished talking about, Demo and Tyrone. These two took two lawyers, female lawyers, out, yeah, and they partied with these two lawyers. When I say party, you all know what party is. And then the two female lawyers were willing to go back to a hotel with Demo and Tyrone, all right? And the story goes that, remember, I didn't hear this story from Tyrone or Demo, yeah? You know the two female lawyers? These two female lawyers are so dumb that they tell this story to every inmate that's a gangbanger, right? Like, this is what I haven't even touched on, is the two-faced lawyers, you know, these lawyers who are little dogs that go around and pass on messages. But I can't just blame the lawyers, because also screws and cops do the same thing here. But I'm just talking about these female lawyers, who think that they're gangsters, you know. They've started a lot of war between a lot of gangs, yeah, because they passed on messages. And when I tell you about the wars that went on inside prison because of these female lawyers, you're gonna be shocked. Like, everyone on the media, everyone on social media is talking about how these gangs are going to war inside prison, and they didn't even realize it was freaking female lawyers that started it. They were the ones that freaking made all these fucking abbing stays and everything happen. And also, you know, these ones that were happening outside, these freaking female lawyers were the ones that helped orchestrate it, all right? Not just the female lawyers, also female officers that were passing on messages from prison outside were the ones that helped orchestrate Ooning Shays. This is what I'm saying to you guys. You all think that gangstering on is just, you take it like at face value, where you're like, I've seen it on movies. It's easy for me to hold a gat and pull the trigger. I could be a gangster. You know what? I am an gangster guy. Yeah, that's what I am. Mate, it's freaking way more freaking into gangstering on. There's way more into it than just pulling the ego tray. There's way more into it than having loyalty, you know, for the oi base. Like, you don't even know the definition of loyalty. But you know what your loyalty is? To all you younger generation out there, your loyalty is limited loyalty, you know, because you're down for the cause when you're in the gang. You're down for the cause when you have the numbers and you're making money. But as soon as shit goes to Itchay, all of that goes out the window. You know, this is what I'm saying. Limited loyalty, right? You're only loyal when everything's going good. Now, Tyrone and Demo, when they took these two female lawyers out and they were partying, it came to the end of the night. The two female lawyers were like, hey, let's take this party to a hotel. Yeah, chang chang. And then they said to the two gangsters, or the supposed gangsters, hey, have you got any of this for party tonight? Yeah. And they were like, oh, yeah. All good. Yeah. Made a few phone calls. Obviously, the boys have connects, you know, Tyrone and Demo when they're making phone calls. But then guess what? This is so embarrassing to even say. They turned around to the two female lawyers and they asked them, how much money have you got? And they're like, oh, what do you mean? These two idiots, like with no embarrassment whatsoever, asked the two female lawyers if they could pay for this. The two female lawyers, yeah, like they were embarrassed that two so-called gangsters asked them for money. The two female lawyers were so embarrassed that they were like, you know what, nah, we're just gonna end the night here. Take care, guys. What happened to Gangster? This is what I'm saying, you know, like, there's a lot more to gang life than what you guys think, you know, and this is exactly what how I'm gonna end my life. There's a guy named Doc, all right, Afu, AFU. This guy's old school crim, like from way back in the 90s, yeah. And I've touched on this once before, but I'm going to touch on it again just so I can teach all you younger generation what the older boys do to the younger guys. I know you may sit there and you think, nah, there's no way my older boys are using me. Look, all right, let's say your older boys are not using you, yeah? But ask yourself this, why are you doing all the dirty work? Why are you parking up all the kill cars? Why are you collecting all the UGDRE money? Why are you the one that's always going to pick up random stuff from random places and not them? You know why? Because you're being used. That's why. I'm not here to belittle any of you. All I'm saying is, here's a story. God willing, you learn from it. All right? There's this guy, Doc Afu, yeah? Old school Tongan cream. Every single younger generation Tongan inside prison, they all bow down to this bloke, all right? And they all think he's a don. They all think he's a gangster. They all think that he's the one that takes care of all the Tongan boys. But guess what? What none of the younger generation knew is during the racial wars, Doc did nothing, not one thing for the Islander boys, yeah? He was the only Tongan that was kicking back at Bathurst with all the Kuru boys when all the Islanders were getting chopped at all the Kuru prisons. He was there through all of it, yeah? And he did nothing. You remember when I told you guys that I went to Bathurst and then they told me I was going to go out to the main, and then Johnny Bandit, the Asian, he sent him, he looked up at me and said that he'll watch my back when it comes out? Guess what? Doc was there when that happened. So when I got grabbed and I got taken to segregation because I refused to sign the protection papers, yeah? And I scrunched it up and I chucked it in the officer's face and I said, let me outside. And the only reason why they came to me was because that Kuru idiot mentioned my name on his phone saying, oh, watch this dumb Islander when he comes out. We're going to have these guys. And this is the one thing that the Kuru boys do very bad inside prison, is when they get high, they don't think about the consequences when they talk on the phone. So they just start yapping away. And then that's when, the screws find out everything. But yeah, Doc was there when I was there, yeah? And I was getting ready to come out to the yard. And all the Fijian boys that were there were saying to Doc, bro, like, what are we going to do? The young Uso's here. We want to back him up, but the Fijian boys were saying that the leader of the Fijians, Ray Johnson, told them not to back me up. You know, like, I'm Samoan and I have to stand on my own 2 feet. So I was getting ready to go get pumped as soon as I walk out because it's a Kuru prison, all right? And guess what that Doc did when I was there? He full told one of the Asian boys that was there, if that friggin' young Samoan cunt. He wants to be a gangster, let him walk out here and let's see what he's got. So to all you Tongan boys that have just got out of prison, that all think that Doc is the Don Goleon, this is what he was doing back then, yeah? He was freaking having a laugh with all the Kuru boys at the expense of all the Islanders that were getting abstayed every time they got there. You know, this is not me trying to throw any of the Kuru boys under the bus, not me trying to throw any of the Islander boys under the bus. All I'm doing is exposing Doc for the person he is. Now he's considered an old school Krim, you know, but all the Tongan boys consider him a Don or, you know, uncle, someone that they all look up to. But none of them even friggin' realize his past. The bloke did itchy for the friggin' Islanders. Yeah, he was teaming up on that side against the Islanders. And now he's got the nerve to go and say, yeah, you know, the S2F boys, they all stand with me. Whatever I say goes. This is how Doc speaks, yeah? And this is what I've been told time and time again. And the reason why Doc started talking itchy about me was because I was the one that knocked him out. What you call? I think it was back when Baz Kavanagh and Oscar Tafahema had the drama, and all of you already know this story because I told it before. Doc was the one who left there and tried to conspire behind my back to get me chopped. Right? Lucky for me, I'm very close with the Tafahemas, so they sent me the message, and as soon as Doc got there, I knocked him out. And then everybody knew me as the kid that knocked out one of the older boys, because that's my thing. I love one-on-ones. Right? You wouldn't see me jump anyone, and if someone did jump into one of my fights, I would always push him away. Like, there's a guy that you know, that Frenny. Well, I was having a one-on-one with a guy that called him a coconut. Frenny's young, so he doesn't realize that that's a bad thing to be called a coconut inside the island yard. I know it was his mate, so they were just joking around. I took it to offense, and I said to him, who the F are you calling one of the Islanders a coconut in the Islander yard? You know, and this guy, very big and muscly guy, long story short, I told him to come to the shower for a one-on-one. He didn't hesitate, obviously, because he's a big boy. Took off his shirt, same thing, I laid him out. And then when I knocked him out, Franny ran in and threw a kick at him and tried to throw a punch. And I was very quick to grab him and throw him off, and I went off with him, because that's not the type of person I am, you know, like one-on-one, and I finish at that. And this is what I keep trying to say to all these younger boys who are running around with these and who are taking chiefs to school all the time. Like, why? You know, like, mate, you realize that you live another day if you just go and take on your fears like this, you know. For all you guys that's out there doing this stuff, you're not cool when you're walking around with a sheep, with a knife in your bag. Or you're not cool when you're walking around with a knife in your school bag and taking it to school. You know, like, you're not a gangster if you're going to abstay someone that lives in an area that you don't get along with.